It might be a cold, rainy day here in March, but I can't think of a better day to pick some Rancho Oranges and a lemon and make some orange marmalade. That's right, today on the Rancho, we're making orange marmalade, and it's very simple. Let's head into the kitchen. You're going to want to get 4 medium oranges and 1 lemon here. And this is going to be a easy recipe because you don't need to add pectin or a thickening agent to your marmalade. The natural thickening agent of the white part or the pith of the orange is going to provide that. You can use half-pint jars, a little half-pint. I like to use full-pint jars. This will make 6 half-pint or 3 full-pint jars. You're going to need some fresh lids, and please don't reuse them. You can buy plenty of lids at basically any store that sells canning supplies, a lot of grocery stores. And you're going to need some rings for it too. I'm going to make this marmalade shelf stable, which means once I'm done making the marmalade, I'm going to put it in a water bath and cook that for about 20 minutes underneath the water. Allow that to be sterilized and then naturally cool down overnight, and it's going to be some great eating. Going to be easy to make. You're going to need a food processor that I have here. We're gonna grind and macerate those oranges down to basically pulp consistency. You're also going to need 4 cups of sugar. So let's get started over here and let's make ourselves some orange marmalade. Yeah. Another thing you may want to invest in is one of these fillers, which makes it, you're going to be working with very hot liquids here, 220 degrees. Okay, more than boiling here, and these make it very nice to fill up jars so you don't have to worry about overspilling and splatter and things like that. I recommend you get like a ball canning setup. It'll have everything you need, and then you don't have to worry about anything. And all you have to do is buy lots of extra lids because you want to use a fresh lid each time. And you can reuse the rings, and we'll talk later why it's very important that once you're done canning and have it shelf stable that you remove the rings. A lot of people leave the rings on, but one of my great friends on YouTube, the Great Mouse Toes, had a very good logic for why you don't want to store your shelf stable items, no matter what it is, with the rings on, and we'll talk about that later. First thing we need to do, we got our 4 oranges and 1 lemon here. We're going to go ahead and cut up the oranges into pieces, and we're going to put that through the food processor, and we're going to add it to a nice clean pot here. We're making our orange marmalade today. Yeah. Couple things you'll notice here. I tried to pick oranges that are rather thin skinned. This one was rather thick, so I cut away part of the outer peel. It's not going to make a difference in performance. You'll also notice that I cut off both ends of it before we put it in. We don't want to put the ends of this fruit into our marmalade. I'm now going to go ahead and cut these up into chunks and put it in the food processor. And needless to say, you don't want anything that has seeds in it, okay? Remove all the seeds that you might come upon. So I'm going to finish cutting this up, and then we'll add it to the food processor and macerate it up really well. Make sure your pot's clean. You're going to need a big pot. You're going to be boiling this, basically bringing this to a boil point in a simmer until we reach about 220 degrees. Remember, safety, safety, safety. It's very dangerous. Candy making is one of the most dangerous professions in the world because of the superheated substances, liquids, sugars that are being used, and the burns can be horrific. Please protect yourself at all times. Be smart, okay? Take your time. This should be fun. It should not be a chore, okay? Also, once I've got the oranges into the food processor, I'm taking a lemon, one lemon, and I am zesting that lemon, and I'm going to give a little bit of a squeeze just to add some of that lemon juice into it. Okay? Cool. Okay, cover your ears. Make sure you pulse it first because that gives a better distribution. Helps the bigger parts fall down to the bottom. See that maceration? Look at how good that looks. That's perfect right there. Okay, once again, make sure your big pot is very clean. We're going to dump this into the big pot. We're going to check the water content and the sugar. We're going to want to add all of that goodness into our pot here. Ooh, the smell of oranges is just great. So make sure you get it all in there. So that looks good. We're going to set that aside, and we're going to add 4 cups. Let me make sure here. I think we're going to add 4 cups of sugar here. Now remember, this is going to make 3 pints. That's a lot, okay? And then we're going to add 1/3 of a cup of water, okay? And then we're going to bring this up to a boil. We're going to add the sugar, everything. We're going to get it all in here. So I'm going to add 1/3 of a cup of water now. Okay, it's time to put our heat on and start bringing this temperature up. Bringing this up, I think, to about 220 degrees or so. But we're going to bring it up. So when we take a spoon and we let it, it doesn't drip off, but it actually sheets off of our spoon, okay? This is going to be fun. Remember, be safe. Since I'm going to make my marmalade shelf stable, which means it should last quite a long time, I'm going to just do one final boil up with the jars, the lids in there. And when these get filled, they're going to boil away for about 20 minutes. But before you put the seal the top of it with the lids and put the rings on it, you should wipe off the top of the jar, the mouth of the jar, with a little bit of vinegar. Okay, it's just a good safety measure. That's if you're going to can this. Otherwise, this should last for maybe a couple months under refrigeration or so. Okay, and be tasty. So here's what we look like about 10 minutes in. You'll see a lot of like scum come up there and things like that. Just kind of ignore that. We need this to really thicken up here, okay? So we got at least 20 minutes to go. Stir it frequently. So we're going to process it for 10 minutes, not 20 minutes, and then allow it to sit. We should get that nice pop when the seal sets too, okay? So this should last 6 to 10 months being stored. I suggest all of you invest in a candy thermometer. It's really a good thing to have. So we've got still ways to go before I start measuring the temperature. But there is the 220 that we are shooting for. We are getting close, and that's definitely thickened up quite a bit. I got my jars out ready to go, lids. Maintain a very clean environment, okay, especially if you're going to be canning for shelf stable. Okay, we have, looks like about 18 more degrees to go. This is a very important thing to have for handling hot liquids. It's a ball, it's part of the set that you get for handling the hot jars, because trust me, you don't want to be handling anything with hands, even with gloves, with this superheated liquid as we approach 220 degrees here. And I have turned the heat off. We have reached 220 degrees. Let's be very careful handling the thermometer there. Don't want to crack, that's very expensive, so I've got that off. Now I'm going to be very careful here. Let's give this a good stir. Now, if you didn't use the temperature method, you would get your plate, put a spoonful of this on, and if it ran down the plate, it wasn't set yet. But if it turned into like a jelly on the plate, then it was all set to go. So let me go ahead, and I'm going to glove up here. And I'm going to do one of these, fill these up. I have everything is sterilized here. Okay, I've got my jar ready to go. Let's go ahead and scoop this out. It's going to be very hot, be very careful. Meanwhile, my pot of boiling water is all ready to go. All right. This might just make 1 pint here today. I don't know, which would be okay. A little more than a pint. I thought I might get more today. Leave a good ½ inch up at the top there, okay? I guess we're just gonna have one big one, so I don't know. I guess I'll put it through the water bath anyway, just to show you guys, but I kind of thought I'd get more yield, but actually that's enough marmalade to last for a long time. So the one we'll put under water bath treatment. Okay, so let me make sure I got all that goodness out of there. All right, I think that's it. See if we can pour a little more. I know it's going to be delicious. All right, there we go. So we'll put this one on the side, and I want to concentrate on this one now. I want to take the vinegar, and I want to wipe the edge and the side really well. And I also want to wipe the lip here of the seal. And let's put that on top. Okay. Let's take our ring. Remember, this is going to be very hot. Don't let it slide around. All right, put that on. Perfect. All right, we're going to sit that aside until our water is boiled, and then we're going to process that. Okay. Very exciting. Let's try a little taste. Look at that. That is real marmalade right there. So the other one, I'm just going to put the top on. This is going to be the first one I'm going to use. So I guess that would be about 6 half pints, maybe 1.5 of these. Yeah. So my initial thoughts were off, but that's okay because this looks great, huh? So let me go ahead and start to do some cleanup, and I'll see you guys when it's boil time over here. See the way that moves in there? That's a real marmalade. So this is what I'll eat first. I'm still waiting for the big kettle to come up to a boil here. Water's nicely boiling. This is the time we want to have a really nice ball jar grabber here. We want to carefully lower that in, okay? And then we're going to bring that up to a full boil again for 10 minutes, and that's going to make that very shelf safe, okay? Now, once you finish this and take it out and sit it there to cool down, after 24 hours, 30 hours, you want to remove the ring. Why would you do that? You see so many people that store the product with the ring on it. Why would you ever think to remove the ring? For one very simple reason. You can visually see as time goes by. If you have a ring on here, you may not see that there was a slight bit of opening of the lid and the contents inside could be contaminated. But if you leave the ring off and store it on the shelf, then you'll be able to see visually if that has popped or been very problematic. So it's very important that you store so you have a good visual reference too on that. But for the first 24, 30 hours as you're waiting to cool down and store and waiting for that to pop, then by all means keep the rings on to keep that in really tight content, okay? But store it so it does not have the rings on it, okay? Let's set the timer for 10 minutes and then we'll be wrapped up today. Turn off the water. It's been 10 minutes. I'm going to very carefully sit that out here using the grabber, and we're going to let that cool down. I took that whole big huge pot of water and emptied it down the sink. If you could do that once a month, you'll never have a clog. Trust and believe. Heard that from a plumber, and it's been great ever since I've been doing that. Never had a problem again. Well, here's the finished product today, and it's very important that you let that cool down for 24 hours or so, and then you'll always get the pop when the top sets and all of the air has been expelled as it cools down, so it's going to make a really nice seal. So I think I'm going to have some really nice marmalade here. All right, everybody, thanks so much for being along. Your thumbs up are appreciated. I'm going to put the link to the recipe in the description box so you can make it for yourself. Orange marmalade from Rancho Oranges. Thanks, everybody.